This is Christoph Yalik.
This is Just Janet.
And this is K. Collie.
And this is
the Just Nuggets Podcast.
Boys are back in town and the Nuggets are buzzing. Welcome back to another Just Nuggets Podcast. This is K. Collie. How's everyone doing today?
We're good. This is Just Janet. How are you guys?
I feel like 10 episodes in. Congrats. This is their 10th episode.
Yay.
Golf clap.
10 episodes in. People know you're Just Janet.
Yeah, Just Janet.
Yeah. Well, and they also know this is a Nuggets podcast. So, Dot, get us into it.
Oh, of course. We're back from the All-Star break. Came off a good win against the Cavs. And when I say a good win, I mean a great win. Because if you think about it, we had no AG. We're playing against allegedly the best defense in actually it's not even alleged, they are the number one ranked defense in the NBA, and we put up 115. Michael Porter had a spectacular game, and he had a spectacular down the stretch game that we needed, and then we had Joker with another triple-double. I think he finished in the third quarter.
Yeah.
And then we had an exceptional game from KCP. He missed I think it was 6 for 6, didn't miss a shot. Then you have Jamal Murray with 16 and 9. So I don't know where you all want to take it. I don't know what angle you want to go with, but I thought it was a great win overall, and it was a great team win for sure.
No doubt, and on the road. You know, it's hard to be. And the other thing, they only have lost 6 games on their court this year, so that was even better. So it was a lot of good things that came out of that game that we loved, and I just think that those kind of games will get you ready for the playoffs because you can beat a number one ranked defense in the NBA without your power forward being there, and everyone else stepped up, hit their shots. Michael Porter was amazing,
spectacular.
Pick up something. He did great, and he went all Jamal Murray on us in the fourth quarter.
It's true
because that's usually Maul time, but. This was Jamal's first game back. Mm-hmm. So MPJ just stepped up, saw where we needed a little boost, and started hitting some threes, and it was killer. So I just think we're gelling. And I just don't want us to peak early, but I think we're gelling. I mean, I don't even know if it's...
I'll push back on that piece. I don't think they're going to peak because they know what the goal is.
Yeah.
The goal isn't... Maybe, 4 or 5 years ago, or if this was a different team, like a younger team, they would be satisfied with being the number one seed in the West and having Ford on pace to have 50 games in the next 2 weeks, and that would be success in this league. But they know what the ultimate goal is. They know that they want to get to the playoffs. They know that being the one seed helps them have home court advantage.
Sure.
That they have the series deciding games at their venue where they're playing very well this season.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're that excited about this, and they know that their ultimate goal is to be playing games in late June or mid June.
And what would tell you that? You told me the way this team is built with a lot of vets or some hungry people on it.
A nice balance of vets and just younger guys too. Like Jamal, I don't think he's over 27.
He has a lot to prove. He wants to prove.
Joker, I just think turned 28, 29.
Yeah, and it would make, not that he has to, but the media wants him to, be even more excellent with winning a championship this year, along with being in the running for a third MVP. So they just keep moving the goalposts.
I think the other thing is that the Nuggets, as well as we're playing as the first team in the West, there's still a lot of improvement there.
Sure.
There's a lot that we can improve on. If you look at the bench played all right, and I don't even think we mentioned it, but Reggie Jackson made his debut in that last game.
And a good one.
He had 7 points, had a crazy pass half court 3. And then you have other guys like Jeff Green stepping up, but he's really having a resurgence because these last 3 games, Jeff Green's
feels good.
Playing well.
He's probably healthy.
He's been playing well all season.
There is a question of do we need another bench type of score or something, or do you think just when the playoffs come, those guys are going to play really low minutes and it is what it is? Like we'll have Bruce Brown come off the bench, we'll have Reggie come off the bench, and maybe you'll have Thomas Bryant play a couple minutes. Jeff Green might play a couple minutes, and then that's about it. We'll probably shrink the lineup a little bit more. Christian Brown, I don't see him playing a lot in the playoffs.
About Ken Carr.
And then Kankar maybe, yeah, I think he'll play some minutes too. I guess I'm asking, do you think we need another scorer, or do you think it's more so we just condense it's gonna just condense more?
I think they're good without this new scorer because that new scorer's got to come in and get acclimated and all that stuff.
You don't want to tip the karma any.
Yeah, but I do think in the playoffs does what happens. We've seen it with PJ Dozier in the past. Austin Rivers had a big game versus Portland in one of those games in that series. I believe that was the year Jamal got injured. The first year that he was injured. There's unsung heroes in the playoffs. Yeah. And it could be a Kankar who has the full capability of giving you 2 3-pointers in the fourth quarter that they paid way too much attention to Jamal and Yoke. And someone they swing the ball, boom, Kankar hits a big 3. Yeah. You know what I mean? Or Reggie Jackson can be that same person. Thomas Bryant can surprise you with the 20-point game. You know what I mean? And CB, like I said, he could have 8 points in a game, but if those 8 points are momentum shifting plays and
more defensive,
and you know what I mean. So I think they have it in them to not have to bring in that type of guy. I think in the playoffs, which this team is built for, that's what we need to start really looking at. March, late April, early April, late February, all of March. Yeah, those games, it'd be cool to have a Melo come in, or like a Swaggy P did that one year, where they come in and they literally just, can hit timely buckets and just be a scorer, go get theirs. But this team is looking for April, May, and June.
I'd say
that's it. That's truly where we're at right now.
Reggie Jackson could be that scorer because I was watching the bench dynamics last game, and Reggie was getting into the offense being very passive. And I think as he gets more familiar with his role in that bench, he's going to know.
Seen him. He's got to get him go off in a playoff.
He's going to know that in order for that bench to have any congruency or anything, he's gonna have to put up his 10 shots off that bench. Just
because
period.
When we were in the bubble and we were playing Clippers, he had a significant role.
Oh yeah, he was.
So we know he is in him. So
speaking of getting got to, no disrespect, but I think and you're gonna have these a lot of times, but CB did have a welcome to the NBA moment again.
Yeah, he did.
Because Donovan was wearing them out.
Yeah, he's wearing them out.
Donovan's a tough guard, but he definitely. I think that was one.
Scored 71 this season.
I know, but he didn't score that in this game.
No, he didn't.
No, he had 22
Okay,
points.
and so we had some defense on him that was kind of. It was effective.
And to your point about defense, that's what I think I like about this team a lot, and it does remind me of the bubble a little bit in the sense of we have people that can guard those guards in the NBA.
Yeah.
When you're playing against. Well, especially when you play against Golden State, but also when you play against even teams like Boston, you're gonna really appreciate the amount of defensive wings that we have on this team. Where you can send because Tatum's gonna get his points, but you can send KCP on him, you can send Bruce for him, you can send AG, you can send Christian Brown on him for moments in time that gives them different looks. They're still gonna be them because they're superstars, but you give them those off moments.
Yeah, and I would say, yes, they went to Cleveland. Yes, they played the top defensive team in the league. But if you took away cover the teams, and you look at the quarter-by-quarter breakdown, fourth quarter, Cleveland only scored 18 points. The Nuggets came back to win that game.
Yeah, I think, no doubt.
Mike Malone, whatever he's doing, he's preaching. He's got the players in there that want to play defense now.
They're listening to him.
They're listening to him, and they're literally going out there and proving, and they're showing the results. The results are being proven out there on the court because 18 points in the fourth. And here's something, we've always talked about it, pre-podcast about the Golden State Warriors, that how good of a second half team, specifically third, when they first got KD, they were the best third quarter team I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. They would just make a little couple tweaks and boom. Yeah. And then you're down by 30 or, you were out of the game quick. The Nuggets are a good second half team now. And I feel like I should knock on wood, but there's been a lot, It's more than an 8-game sample to show me that they make halftime adjustments. Yeah. They change, they iterate, and they lead the NBA in games when they are losing at halftime and winning. And they also lead the NBA in games they're losing going into the fourth
and
winning. So that tells me something. You got to give Coach Malone some his kudos. We'll get into – I'll have a point about this when we get into not Nuggets, but he's right there for Coach of the Year for sure.
That's what I was going to ask.
I was going to say that because they're actually responding. Once more, we can discuss that at a later time. But, like, they're responding and you know,
his competition.
If they're the best team, and this is the last thing I promise. I saw that they were doing some like play gimmicky thing in the arena before, like early in the game. They're like, how many nuggets do you think this dude can eat? And that's how many points the Cavs will give up. And the dude scored 116, and they were like, oh, bet the Nuggets won't get that. And then they get 115. Mm-hmm. So I guess you're right. Yes, the Nuggets didn't get it. But the Nuggets scored 115, you guys scored 109. So
it reminds
I'm not the math major. I was a math major for 2 years in college, but that sounds like an L, you know, greater than, less than.
No,
so
with that 116, it reminds me of when we went to Chauncey Billups' camp and he'd be like, one for a champion. So that's all he did. Like we did 115. He's out. He won nugget for a champion.
Yeah, for real. You know what he did? He ate a nugget for the Nuggets. You know what I mean?
So he did. Can I say before one other point on Mike Malone? I think it's also important to, and this might be his improvement and involvement as a coach. He made an adjustment. We were down by like 8 or 9 going in that third. Yeah. And he puts Joker in earlier.
He did.
And I know everybody's an obvious choice, but I do think those are decisions that he is finding. Oh, we can put Joker. We don't have to stick to Joker comes in at 8 on the dot or he comes in at 7 on the dot. If we're behind and we can get this game, and it was a game that we could easily win, I appreciate that he put in Joker.
Yes, I do too.
I agree. I do think another point to the bench. He is adding a starter into that bench every rotation, so that it whether it's KCP, where it's Jamal, where it's Bruce.
Yeah.
Well, Bruce is already.
But
he's a 6 man. Yeah,
he's our 6 man.
But that helps those moments when Joker's not out there, that we don't just fumble the bag in the game and the game gets behind us, which has happened in the last couple seasons.
While we're on the topic of Bruce, I know you want to. I just promise a quick point. Bruce, I like Bruce. He's a hands in the dirt type of guy. You know what I mean?
Gritty.
Very gritty. Because he had a minus against Cleveland. He was -3. He only scored 2 points, but he impacts the game. That's weird. He just makes the team better. He's an asset to the team just because his game. You know what I mean? He'll box out the dude that allows Jokic to get his 13th rebound, his 18th rebound. You know what I mean? He'll rotate that causes someone to pop out, get MPJ's hand in someone's face that makes them take a bad shot. He's very impactful. You know, you look at the stat lines, you'd be like, whatever. But sometimes it's not all stats.
No, it's not.
And if you're not a casual, you know that. But like, he's a good player, and I just want to give him his flowers.
We were looking for that type of player.
For sure.
Been searching we got for that player.
I mean, Gary kind of had that role for a little bit, but then Gary, they needed him. That's it too. But like, also they kind of at points they needed Gary to score, and then you realize that's just not Gary's full game. Mm-hmm. So
Gary was a starter too. Bruce is off the bench.
Yeah,
that's true. But if Gary was on this team, he'd be off the bench too. So
it's true.
It's true. No, I was saying Mike Malone with Coach of the Year has competition with Mike Brown.
Oh yeah, that's what I was going to ask you all. Yeah, since we were just talking about it, would you say Mike Malone is the Coach of the Year?
No,
you give it to Mike.
I mean, I'd love
Brown?
for him to be. Don't get me wrong, but I think a new coach, first year with that team, and you got them 3rd in the West.
Yeah,
pretty good.
I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. I think that it works. It's a catch-22 in Nuggets Nation. You know what I mean? Because Jokic is gonna get a lot of heft for votes, hefty voting on his voting for MVP, right? Uh-huh. But I think what that's also going to do is going to minimize the Coach of the Year votes for Mike Malone, because everybody, well, he's got the MVP, you know. So it's like, his is going to depreciate because of Jokic's, and Jokic is going to go up because
this is championship.
Yeah.
So everybody,
in 100 stacks. 100 stacks.
He could care less.
I think
all the accolades we don't care about.
I don't think he cares one bit about the Coach of the Year, and I don't think Jokic cares one bit about the MVP.
Because
that's for us. Too. I don't want to say we're the media. We're just fans with the mic in front of us. But for the national media and the Denver Sports Talk media, that's for them to ponder and do that stuff. What those two individuals want is what us three want, and a lot of Nuggets fans who listen to this all over the world want, and that's a ring.
Yeah. And like I said, coaches get rings too, so Malone could care less about Coach of the Year if he doesn't.
This ain't the Olympics.
And with this
coaches
team
get
too,
rings.
This is our best team. This is our best chance. We got mix of vets, we got young people, we got defense, we got shooters, and gosh, they have 3-point shooters now. We were begging for that for years. Yeah. And so we got to get it done. And so we got to continue to put our heads down, win these games we can. Like you said, Kyle, we had to put Joker in 1 minute sooner, put him in there,
Improve
and get
over
it done.
time.
Yeah, and if that's a coaching, thing that Mike Malone decided to do, and he had to break his rules or whatever he is, I'm glad he did it because that made a difference. And the other thing too is he could see the finish line. We only got
so
20
games.
So many games left, and so he could see the finish line for regular season to get to the other thing. So I think he'll be doing more of that.
Yeah, I think it's like a key down the stretch is continue to get better over time. Rest Jamal if he needs to. Rest AG if he needs to. Rest MPJ.
Yeah.
Rest Jokic.
Rest Jokic. Find moments where they can get, because I'm cool with being the Spurs of the West right now. If we need to rest our guys to get to where we need to,
you know how many championships
because you have to. I know, and this is another thing the NBA's media is talking about a lot is load management. And I think with this team, it's not even a sense of load management in the sense of how we'll talk about it later with Damian Lillard resting after the All-Star game. This is more, Jamal does need rest. Period. He actually does need load management. Joker been playing for 3-4 years and barely missing any games. He needs it. AG, same way. AG
and they need it because they have long-term expectations. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we don't need a healthy AG to play in tonight's game, which is, February 25th, as we sit here, as they're about to head to Memphis. Mm-hmm. We don't necessarily need him against Memphis, even though tonight's game is major, and we can get into that momentarily after I finish this point. We are going into the playoffs, and I want a healthy team there. I don't. If we have a couple players out now,
he wasn't on a plane to Cleveland. I don't know if he took a plane to Memphis to meet him there. Why would he?
He's out, and they have him marked as out.
So maybe we're shifting a little bit into the second segment. We're talking about not Nuggets, but I also think we could talk a little bit about Memphis because Memphis just lost to the 76ers after being up, and now they're sliding, and the Nuggets have the chance to knock them out. Well, not to say knock them out, but they have a chance to win their respective series against them, season series against them, and allow that to be another way for them to stay up top as the one seed in the West.
I read something. I don't know if it's true. I'm going to repeat it. I read something that if the Nuggets win this game, they're going to have the tiebreaker for that spot.
Yeah.
And so if they have the tiebreaker for that spot and we're in 2, we'll be 1.
Here's why. Here's the why. Because they already played this season. Yes. The Nuggets already won. So
if they win
this one, they win 2. So that game next Friday, right? Next Friday.
Yeah.
That game next Friday will kind of just be a wash. So I'd rather bury him now.
I would too.
While they're sliding.
While they're sliding, but they're gonna be juiced up. I bet FedEx Forum is gonna be rocking.
It's gonna be rocking.
They're gonna have the towels out there. They're gonna be whip that trick, all that fun stuff that they do down in Memphis. But if the Nuggets can come in there and snatch their soul, they kind of did Cleveland.
And they need to.
If the Nuggets become a soul snatching team, I love those types of teams.
But you know what?
You know what I mean? You guys get your hopes up. Oh, it's you guys are celebrating your 25th anniversary team, whatever it is, and you come in and snatch the soul. I love those teams.
Be the black mama.
Yeah. I love that.
No, my point is, they can be, and let's hope that they know that happens. Because you saw what was the brushback when we played the 76ers, and it was the Embiid, Joker duel, and Joker played like Joker, and he didn't care about that game, which is, that's how he is. That's just who he is. And but everyone else cared, and everybody else talked about it, and Embiid did this, and he got these, and all that, and he did great. I'm not an Embiid hater at all. I think he's a phenomenal center. Yeah. However, I think the Nuggets should have learned that sometimes these games matter when they should matter. Because, darn it, if like last year when Joker went into 76ers and beat them there, I just think that solidified him getting that MVP. That won the MVP. So that mattered in a regular season game. So this Memphis game may be that.
I agree with a lot of your points. The one I still don't think that Philadelphia game necessarily mattered for the standings or playoff swing. It was more like the perception of the two players. They mattered in that. And I think Embiid won that perception battle for this season.
Yeah,
for this season. But I'm saying for purposes of the playoffs and standings, this game matters.
Yeah, true. I get that. I'm saying she's talking about those pressure cooker games. When you need to step up to show this is what our team is. Because even when Philly won, they're like...
But that's what I'm saying. This is not what our team is in that game. But that was more, this is Jokic.
No.
This is Embiid.
Because even Embiid said, we wanted to see where we stacked up against the best in the West.
Okay, that's
and
fair.
I don't think
guess what? The Sixers aren't the best in the East.
They're not.
So they weren't stacking up against the best in the East at that point. So
I agree with what you're saying.
It is what it is. Yes, I agree with... That's why I said I agree with all... I'm just saying when you really look at the totality of it, that was as good of... It was as necessary of winning as it was against Cleveland or Orlando, who they lost to. They lost to both of them. So, like...
And what I'm saying is this is not the same thing, but it's an impression. You know, it's not a first impression,
yes,
but it is meaningful.
Yeah.
It's like when you show up to a party and everybody's in a tux and you have on just a top coat and a suit, you still feel out of place, okay? I just think that time and place, that was a time and place game. That if Joker had won that, they would not have had this last couple months of, Embiid, this and that. And the only way Joker is now in place to get this third MVP is because he has a triple-double average.
And the 1 seed. But still, to that point, is Jokic doesn't care about it. He didn't care.
He doesn't.
He didn't care.
And it comes down to this. It's WWJD. What would Jordan do? Yeah. Jordan would have showed up and dominated in that game, period. So that's all we're saying especially in a game that matters.
And Jordan would have won the LeBron game. When he got the trophy, he stayed in the game. It's that's time.
That's what we're talking about. So you can't just say, oh, it's just another game. Because Embiid didn't take it like it was another game. He took it personal. And you saw it that game.
And so we're going to rewind this back to tonight.
Yes. We got to take this game personal.
We got to take this game. That's what I would be preaching in that locker room.
You got to take this game personal.
Yeah. I agree. Because I know Memphis will come out and say, this is us. If we want some semblance of, I ain't worried about you need to win this game, Memphis. You need to come out there. You need to hang 40 in the fourth, 40 in the first, and then stay true to that energy throughout the rest of the game and close them out. And the Nuggets, on the other end, like I said, go in there and be a soul snatcher. You know they're going to be hyped up. They're coming off a big national televised loss. You guys need to go in there and take their spirit. And not only take the spirit to our conversation as a whole, take the West.
Yeah. I just think that Memphis' offense is really weird, like the way it's set up. Like you have basically their whole thing is just John Morant's blast to the hoop and try to get a dunk, or then if he can't get it, he passes out. It's like it's all ISO then pass. ISO like for him. And I just think that with the Nuggets, John Morant is going to be able to get to the bucket because of the way he moves, but then it's going to, over time, that offense is going to wear down. He'll be able to get there early in the beginning of the game, but I think that we have the advantage of tonight when you could, as we said, you could throw multiple people at them.
And I think if we're hitting threes, like we were hitting the other in Cleveland, and he's getting twos because he's driving, it'll take care of itself. But we'll see. It's going to be a fun game.
Let me jump over to the Clippers and Kings game from last night.
Oh God.
It was the second highest scoring game in NBA history. I think the final score was 176 to 175.
Or something. It's right in there. And they said that the highest, Denver was involved in the highest game.
Yeah, back in the day, Doug Moe era, right?
Yeah, I don't know, but we have that record.
So, anyways,
I was hoping. You know what? I was hoping that they pass us and we get out of that position.
Because the Nets lost.
I'm just saying. So, anyways, this game, I know it looks cool when you. I was sitting in a restaurant. I looked at the TV. I said, "Is that real?" I literally thought it was a fake score. I was like, "What's going on here?" So I looked, and it was the crazy thing about this game is no one scored 50 points. Malik Monk gave people buckets. Kawhi got buckets. Honestly, everybody got buckets. Bones didn't get no play time. I just want to say that. He didn't show up in that game.
Because Russell Westbrook.
Because Westbrook made his debut.
Yeah.
So it was just
Can I say a point real fast to that?
Sure, why not?
While we're on it.
No shade to Bones.
It's just funny to me that both teams score over 100, and the team you're playing on, they allow a team to score over 175 points, right? Your team scores 175 points, and somehow you are still a defensive liability.
Well, you just Other thing is this.
They scored over 100 points in regulation. It was like 150 something. It was tied.
Means like the coach thought like we don't need you tonight.
I'm just not a big. I don't love those games because I actually appreciate defense in the NBA. I'm not saying I do. Think? I love when Curry scores. I love when Joker scores. But some form of defense matters, and that game was just too much. Maybe it's fun for one night and to get the tension going. But I will say congratulations to the Kings on winning that game. That's all I can say. To that whole point.
Why the Kings won? Because they decided, and like the last, they had already had one. They had regular, game time. Then they had an overtime. They played the same darn way, and then they had this second overtime. They probably was tired. They were like, their coach is probably begging them, if you guys would just play defense and get 2 or 3 stops, and then get your baskets on the other end, we will win this. Yeah. And that's what they did. They had maybe more, but I know for a fact in the final minute or so they had 2 stops, and then they scored on the other end that got them up to where they are, and they won the game because finally defense was played. And that's crazy to me that you didn't figure that out when it was at halftime, whatever it was, some outrageous number, and then at the end of the regular season, some outrageous number. And I know we're going to talk about this in the next segment, but remind me when we get there to compare this game to the All-Star game.
I got you.
And last point on this: maybe these teams play each other in the first round. Maybe that's the silver lining in this high scoring game. That maybe they play each other in the first round of the playoffs.
Maybe. I think it was just interesting to me that I think the Kings are a good team. I do.
Oh yeah, they're good.
But they're young.
Yeah. Well, we can dissect the Kings at a later date or in a second. The Clippers is who I want to turn my attention to because they got Westbrook and then a lot of people in the national media that I heard. I wasn't even really watching like that. So they were just drip feeding out that, and they started putting the Clippers with the Nuggets and the Suns as the top 2 teams in the West. And then they float Memphis and then they're like, the Clippers are right there. Sure. They could be 4, they could be 5, whatever. But no. There's just no. Like you guys I don't see the allure with this team. Like I watch them enough over the last couple years when they're at full strength, when they're in the playoffs. They don't have the it. They have names, they have talent, and they're in LA. If this team was not in LA, if they were in OKC or San Antonio, they wouldn't even have the allure. They would just Kawhi, be like, oh, they have good players. And he had 44 last night and they lost.
I know.
So what's the point of having Kawhi?
I guess my point is, if you have 2019 or 2020 Kawhi, okay, the bubble, the one where he won, he was a different player. In my mind, he would have never been included. He comes from San Antonio. They would never have a game like that. Mm-hmm. Never. He would his own. If he, he's a leader. If he had started playing defense, they would have started. I hope they would have started playing defense. But nobody was playing it. Not even their top 2 people, PG or Kawhi. So nobody played it, and it just was just a terrible. I thought it was a shame game.
Jay, you make a good point. Tough. And I think this is when you see that Clippers team, what were they prided on from the beginning? Kawhi being a great defender and PG being a great defender. For this game to happen on them, I would be nervous. If I'm a Clippers fan, I'm glad we can score 175 points. But on the other hand, I'm thinking we need to play some defense. But we can jump over from one LA team to another. We can go talk about these new look Lakers. Everybody's all hyped. They beat Golden State without Curry. Malik Beasley.
We're our 2 Nuggets.
Can I give a Malik Beasley shout out, and can I get a Jared Vanderbilt shout out?
Yeah.
New look Nuggets coming over to save the day in LA.
And let me get a shout out to Tim Conley because thank you, Tim Conley, for making the Lakers better.
Yeah,
because you literally gave them a unit for nothing. Really? Truly nothing. What did you get in return? You got Mike Conley and picks. You know what? I love to see it because, oh my Lord, I hope this podcast knows how I feel about Tim Conley.
Oh, I think they do.
I also think
I hope it just kind of comes out somehow.
It kind of comes out.
Because that's miserable.
Oh my.
And they've done a good job. I'm happy we got Thomas Bryant, but I mean, you can say what you want about Mo Bamba, but dude is 7 foot tall. Rocky Rule Achimura, who's pretty good. Rue. You got Rue. Jared Vanderbilt, who's tall, very lanky. You got dude. Anthony Davis, we already know his pedigree.
If he's healthy.
You know what I mean? That's kind of like the team that they won the championship in the bubble with. You know, the team that beat the Nuggets.
Without all the height.
But that's a pretty big team.
But they had Dwight Howard, McGee, and they had AD.
And KCP.
They had a tall team.
Super tall. But like Mo Bamba's not short by any means. Dude's like 7 foot. They're not as talented. I'll give you that for sure. They're not as talented or has the tenure with successful tenure that those two teams had. Because JaVale McGee, I know it's you always hear Shaq's voice. But the dude, by the time he got to the Lakers, had 2 championships.
Yeah, JaVale McGee's
you know what I mean? He did have a championship pedigree and knew what it took to get there. And Dwight, for all you said, he fully committed to that point. And he played that role as the intimidator, bruiser. We saw that in that series with the Nuggets. And then AD, So you got the same kind of thing going. They're not as good. And they sit currently at 13. I think they can make a run. I think they can make a run to the play-in. Getting to 6 is possible. I guess they're only... They're 3.5 back at Dallas. I think the team you want to circle there is the Clippers. Because the Clippers are only a half game above Dallas in that 5 seed. If they slide back a little bit, I don't know. I truly don't think. I don't think that the Lakers are going to make this top 6. I just don't think.
Well, then they'll be a playing team.
They're a playing team. They are, and when you get there, like anything can happen because I think the playing teams will probably be New Orleans, Golden State, Utah, and the Lakers.
And where's the Suns?
The Suns make the top 6.
Okay.
I think Minnesota is the odd team out right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, Minnesota or Utah. And I didn't realize, maybe because I just haven't really cared about the division. You know the Nuggets are 12 games up in the division?
In the division.
Yeah, in the Northwest.
Yeah. And then I guess when we're speaking of the Northwest and we're talking about teams that could potentially be in the play-in, Damian Lillard, we kind of mentioned it, rested after the All-Star game. I don't know if he was hurt or what was that? I think that was interesting. They kind of need him out there now. I think they're in desperation.
Yeah, I thought that was, there's going to be a lot of discussion around it because there already is. That you just had a week break. Yes, you played and, did All-Star game festivities for 2 days. And then you had a couple of days after that. And then the next game out, you rested. It's just optically bad. As a team, as we just said, it's good to rest Jamal. It's good to rest AG. So I don't want to talk out of both sides of my mouth, but it was just from optics thing. You're not first in the West. You're not even 2 in the West. You know what I mean? You guys are outside looking in currently. So it just leaves a bad taste in people's mouth. Yeah. And you're a big name. You're top 75. Yeah. People pay to see you. And when you do stuff like that, it's magnetized to the highest degree.
I think you're also missing one point, and maybe it's the Wembayamba sweepstakes. Maybe it's like, hey, Dame, we're not going to win a championship this year, but we maybe could bring in Victor for you. So maybe it could be something like that too. Which
they got a shot. I mean, you talked about the Lakers, and now you talk about Portland, and those are right there together. Step up,
not too
and
far
it's
back.
1, 2, 3.
It's not like they have the talent to make at the plan too. They have Dame and they have Simons, and they got Grant too.
Yeah, there's like 7 teams that have 14 out from first, or 13 or 12. Okay, that's a lot of teams that could just shuffle here. And like you said, if they're not trying to shuffle, then what are they waiting for? And it's usually so we can get a better draft choice.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, they're in NBA purgatory. Let's just keep it a stack, where you're not good enough to be the best, and you're not bad enough to be the worst. Yeah, that is NBA purgatory. Yeah, because you're always going to be picking, as high as 8, as low as 14, and you're missing the Wembayambas, and then you got to be doing the weeding to get something else. So it's like.
Speaking of that,
to their point, like if you're gonna go down, go down.
And if we're talking about,
and it's a good time to show that you're going down right after the All-Star break. You're looking at yourself for 3 games under 500. The Lakers are making a push. OKC, they're waiting for the future. If we're being honest, they're just a young, talented, getting better at this thing. You know what I mean? They're gonna get good. Utah's in a weird spot, so but they're talented. They got enough depth and things are there that they could just be chum in the in the play-in. So I mean, we'll see how it all shakes out. Before we move on, I did want to go back to Embiid really fast because that dude had a stat line. I know he didn't have a good first half in that game versus Memphis the other night.
Yeah, he did.
But what was it? 6 blocks?
Yeah.
6 blocks, 6 assists, 19 rebounds, and 27 points.
And a win.
And a dub.
Yeah, and a dub.
His field goal percentage was miserable. Over 5 from 3, only 7 of 25
but
from the field.
But he took a lot of shots, I think.
He's hurt.
Look at it.
He's
25 shots.
He's injured right now.
Yeah, he's hurt, but he's a beast.
He's a beast.
He's a monster. And you know what? I'm going to say it for the first time, I think, on this podcast. I want him to win the MVP.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be mad. I mean, he's been in the race for a long time, and Joker definitely deserves it. But the media, we kind of talked about this last episode. The media wants to give it to somebody else. So if they really dive into giving it to someone else, Joel Embiid's a good choice. Giannis a good choice.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Y'all are just sick of it.
I mean, I'm sick. I'm tired of the NBA. I'm tired of the NBA.
No, this is not a consolation. Everybody gets a rib and get the
it sometimes feels like that, in the NBA.
And that this person had it, so next person, so we all can just sing kumbaya around here. No, Joker deserves it. Joker should get it. I
think he does deserve it.
I think they both deserve it. To be honest with you, I do. I think Jokic is. We talk about Jokic enough. His resume, his stats prove himself. Look at his record, all of that. He just set the NBA record of all time with triple doubles in a row in his team winning.
Okay.
He beat Magic Johnson, who is a GOAT. Jokic deserves it, yes. But Embiid could also, for the second straight year, lead the NBA in scoring. His team is dynamic. He's the best player. He is all that. And then you said it yourself, in the game where it was a spotlight, him mano v mano on national spotlight during rivalry week, Embiid gave him nothing but buckets and didn't miss in the fourth quarter. I'm not saying that's the one game that deserves to win the MVP.
Okay,
I wouldn't say that. I don't work for ESPN.
Fan,
but
Shane, just give me that Nuggets
fan. I'm giving you the Nuggets fan chain in this way. I want Jokic to win the Finals MVP.
Don't say no more.
If he has the regular season, have it. We want the Finals MVP.
I will say this. Okay, you got a point. Don't you have a point?
No, you go.
I was going to say this, and this is the only thing I'll say about the MVP, and I'll be done because I said I'm out. If you just take away everything from the last 2 years, you forget Joker has 2 MVPs. You look at the stats this year and this year's only.
You're going to pick him.
You know what you're going to say? Has any NBA center ever had a triple-double? How many? Actually,
average.
Let's ask how many
average
people.
So far.
Let's ask how many people in history have averaged
and
a triple-double.
Even if he doesn't average it all the way to the end, he would have averaged it through the month of February.
Let's ask the question.
Really?
Let's ask who's first in the West.
All I'm saying is if the MVP wasn't just a trophy and letters, if it was $1 million, a big number, $2 billion, you wouldn't be saying this. They'd be fighting for, not you would be fighting for somebody. Maybe it's just the goal of it that's not enough. Mm-hmm. But I say, I don't give anybody anything in a competitive business sport. Because it is all of it.
I agree with you 1,000%.
It's business. It's all of it.
I'm just tired of the conversation.
That's
what it is. I got the fatigue. I got the MVP fatigue, and I know the Nuggets.
I get the MVP conversation fatigue.
Yeah,
because Joe's patting his stats.
Yeah,
that one. That's miserable take. Because I watch this dude day in day out. Nikola Jokic. He is incredible. His stats speak for himself, and he's winning at a high clip. And when he gets his whole team involved, they haven't lost this season, knock on wood. And I'm not saying the triple-double is the only reason. I know it makes it sound like that, but when he's touches every element of the game and that shows the numbers, they don't lose like that. He is excellent, and he's the most valuable player.
Yes.
But to shut up everybody outside of Nuggets Nation,
let
Embiid have it. Not let Embiid have it. He has earned the right to be the MVP. That's it. And if he wins it, I want him to have it.
Let me just say to you, the last game he played against Cleveland, he got a triple-double. What period did he have that in?
In the third.
Okay. And that's padding?
According to some.
Yeah, but we don't.
Yeah.
And according to some, who would get buckets from both of them.
You're right.
They would both rock the person who claims that one of them's padding stats. We're not using any names, but
how about this? We just carry on to the 2 minutes remaining. So this one's interesting. Last All-Star game, the one that just happened last Saturday, it was one of the lowest rated. I think it was the lowest rated All-Star game since they've been airing them. And I would want to know, and we don't have to keep this long because you have 1,000 ideas. But how would you just make the All-Star game better, and how would you make the All-Star Saturday night better?
Ladies first.
Also, shout out to Mac for winning the dunk contest. He did a great job. That was really cool.
That was cool. Don't cut your periods. Okay, cut them shorter, and then say if you don't play defense in the first period, maybe you could play it by the third period and fourth period. You have to do that because otherwise it's unwatchable. You know, how many times can you see a 3-point basket shot? Now, Curry did it last year when he was just going off, but his was in, I don't know about Curry. Curry's just that guy. I mean, he was just fun to watch. Mm-hmm. You know, but when everybody's shooting them all the time, and then you're just clearing the lane for people to go in there and do a dunk, and you say, is this a basketball game or is this an exhibition, a point getter or something? It just did not feel like a basketball game. And if people show up for a basketball game, they want to see a basketball game. That's all elements of, that's steals, that's blocks, that's all this stuff that is a basketball game. We could have watched a college basketball game instead of the All-Star game. People would have flipped to that. Yeah. You know, so no wonder it was low. And it's going to get worse if they don't fix it. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, you have to fix this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How would you change it?
I think you've made some excellent points, and it really is, when you look at the 4 major sports in America, football's they didn't fix it, and now it's in the garbage. Like, now you got to restart from scratch, or like, do we even need to have it? Yeah. You know, like, it could just be like, you made first team All-Pro, and we'll just act like the Pro Bowl never happened. You know what I mean? I think baseball's is the best.
It was the best.
Was?
It's not the best.
Well, it was this year.
I'm saying baseball's was the best when it used to be. They were actually competing when they were.
I would still say they do that.
No, they were competing hard for the World Series.
I'll give you that.
Ever since then, that game
is what it is. With basketball.
I'll give you that. They but sometimes they got fat cat syndrome. Like, baseball always gets lost in the 4, and somehow you had the best, and then you ruined it somehow. That's very baseball. Okay. That's not a baseball.
The home run derby's dope.
Yeah, but they made that better. But whatever. Uh-huh. But they would have the best one from a competitive standpoint because I think injuries are at a lower.
Yeah, they are.
Rate of occurrence.
So
the competition go higher. Mm-hmm. And before this season, they ruined it again. You remember back a couple years ago, before you played so much interleague games, like the AL never played the NL, so it was a clash of titans, and all those teams only 2 teams make it the World Series, so it was like another one of those things. But I still think like they have the best one. Hockey, it went to the garbage or getting close to it, and they made some changes, and I love what they did. They had the 4 conferences, they have all-stars from each conference, and then they play a tiered team thing. And then the champions of the 2,
essentially what they do for the NBA Rising Star game.
Effectively, yes. And then those 2 teams, and they play. And yes, you could say it's not that great. They made it 3-on-3, so it's more chaotic and more goals scored and all that stuff. And you could tell that they're not going as hard. But sometimes the competitive juices get going, and it's still pretty entertaining to watch. I watched it this year, and it brings me to basketball. I think basketball could take a little bit of baseball and hockey. I think they can do what they do with the Rising Stars, because the Rising Stars was pretty garbage, and they did that, and then all of a sudden we want to carry, and then they infused the G League into it, and it kind of made it interesting. Yeah, So I think you could do that. The splits.
The G League has something to play for. Yeah, they're playing to be seen and get on a team. So somebody at the game actually has something of value.
And then you could find your next favorite player because you didn't know you can't watch elite or whatever. Team, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I think they could do that. Even if you want to do the picking of teams thing, you could pick captains. So you can vote on the 4 top things, and not before the game, because I just made stuff long.
That was ridiculous.
Maybe if you do it Friday night here's how you can improve Saturday night. You do like the captains pick their teams, and so you get ready.
Why can't they just go back to East and West?
No, you could, and then I was gonna say, or you could do international versus USA, because there are a ton of great talent.
Yeah, but we've been talking about international to beat America one time, and it'd be a mess.
Why? We sit here. We just had a full conversation about Jokic or Embiid for MVP,
or Giannis. While you're adding that,
or Giannis or Luka. So the top 4 are not from the 50 states. That's interesting. The number 1 pick that we all know who's coming. He's coming from France. The NBA is a global game. And I would love to see Kevin Durant versus Wembanyama versus Jokic versus the international team might beat them a bunch. It wouldn't even be just one when they beat us. They might beat them from the jump, and then it might be the opposite way when the U.S. beats the international. I think that'd be interesting. And what we can't see it. It's all I'm just throwing stuff.
East, West, period, overdone.
We've seen
and then you'll get some defense.
We've seen that though.
Maybe. Yeah, we're just talking suggestions.
Well, you all are talking game. I'll talk Saturday night then. I think with the dunk contest, we need to put some form of money on the line. $1 million, $2 million. Get those sponsors to come in and put some money towards the game. They can use that sponsorship to do all types of stuff. Give them a brand package. But that if you don't put a nice round number in there, 2.5 or something for these guys to go dunk off, you won't get the Anthony Edwards. You won't get the Ja Morants. You won't get any of those guys to come done. And that's what we look for.
It's a rite of passage. LeBron didn't do it. So
I know.
Why do we have
LeBron, I'm not going to get mad at LeBron, but LeBron definitely did start the whole best player doesn't dunk in the dunk contest thing of this generation. I don't know about the other past generations.
You know about the other past generations.
I know. I'll fix this.
They did it.
Same with the 3-point contest. We want to see Curry versus Dame versus Clay versus KCP. In that dunk contest, in that 3-point, put a little money towards it. Let's do that. I actually really liked how the All-Star game, when Kobe first passed, how they had the final score game. I thought that was really good. So I think they should keep that, but then change the elements.
They do that in periods, so they first person.
Yeah, but the period stuff started messing up. Yeah. The end of the game was really good. The last 2 games, I heard it wasn't as good this year, but
they had been
that's
so
how I
bad
fix it.
3 periods.
And then I really do like the hockey way they do it with the teams playing against each other. So something form of that could be really cool if you saw maybe a 3-on-3 with a full court 3-on-3 when it's like LeBron, KD, and somebody versus this team and this, like a smaller unit of basketball, but something. I don't know. I was just giving now a suggestion to the podcast. I think we can wrap it up there as far as.
I have one more point.
Oh, you got something else real quick?
I think it'd be interesting. Maybe the 29 arenas and owners of those arenas wouldn't like my suggestion here, but maybe you did the U.S. versus international when you do an all-star game in like London or Paris. That'd be kind of cool. You know, you're already going international for an all-star game. You're extending that global reach, and then you do that type of thing, and then we can ponder over it and, whatever.
I guess the last point, I heard a lot of players are exhausted by the Sunday game because of all the sponsor stuff they have to do and the Saturday nights and the partying and all that. No, but I was saying that's also goes into it too. But it's price of playing business when you're a big baller. We
gotta make it important to them. You gotta.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to figure out what the importance.
You gotta tie it to something that's meaningful for them. Mm-hmm. Period.
Yeah.
And we don't have that.
I think how would you change All-Star Game or All-Star Weekend was the question. I think that's the true answer. We can speculate give ideas, but you have to make it meaningful or substantive for them.
For the players,
For the players. That's
Otherwise, you're going to get what you got. You're going to get a 175-point game. Oh, that's my point I want to talk about the Clippers.
And we'll close out on that.
The Clippers game that All-Star game bled. I think I don't know if it did. It bled into the regular season for 2 teams. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Did you not hear the press clippings? Did you not see what people were talking about all week? We don't like that. We like you hitting some threes, but come on. We like you not going in the lane, but not parting ways So you can just go in there. I think both things, those kind of big score games and the All-Star game has the same element of what's missing, and that's a lot defense.
Perfect. Well, from the Just Nuggets podcast, my name is K. Colley. Thank you all for listening today. You can find us on Twitter at Just Nuggets Pod. And our sign off. Anybody else got anything to say?
We're good. Just win. Go Nuggets.
Yeah, 2 games.
Get that game.
Nuggets. Take their spirit tonight.
Yes.
Go Nuggets.
Go Nuggets.
All right. Take care, everybody. Have a good one.